Audio Jungle.
Man arrested and charged in St. Mary over ganja and uncustomed goods. Charges have been laid against a man in St. Mary over the seizure of a quantity of ganja, uncustomed goods, and other prohibited items. The seizure was made during a snap raid in Orcabeso on Friday. The operation was carried out at around 10 a.m. Of the St. Mary Division Acting Superintendent Anthony Wallace says the man identified as 31-year-old Shamroy McPherson was taken into custody and charged with dealing and possession of ganja, as well as offering uncustomed good for sale. The Jamaica Constabulary Force remains committed to maintaining law and order and encourage citizens to report any suspicious activities to the authorities, Wallace noted. PNP calls for urgent modernization of Jamaica's markets and local infrastructure. Opposition spokesperson on local government, community development and sports, Natalie Nitakarvi, is calling for the modernization of markets across the island, which she described as being woefully inadequate with poor infrastructure due to inadequate funding. Basically, what we have seen over many years is that we really have neglected local government and the amenities which they provide. So even with our markets, as we standing in front of the Papin market right now, is very similar to what is happening with most markets across the country. Woefully inadequate in terms of funding, and therefore the infrastructure is poor. And our women, for me, are the people who use the market the most. The sanitary convenience really leave a lot to desire. Since I was a child till now, our markets seem to be the same, and there really needs to be a modernization of our markets and many other amenities offered by the local government, Garvey stated. She also called for greater ventilation throughout the market and other spaces, allowing vendors and consumers to feel more comfortable as they conduct business. Garvey was speaking during a tour of the Papin Market along with PNP caretaker for St. Andrew Eastern, Patricia Duncan Sutherland, and PNP council candidate for the Papin Division, Darlington Ferguson. She said the PNP will focus on funding of local government and will provide access to better services such as garbage collection, street lights, and roads. There really needs to be greater ventilation throughout the market and spaces where people can feel comfortable and have their dignity restored. So as a government, this People's National Party, with local government as a feature, will focus more on the funding of local government and ensuring that these services, garbage collection, our cemeteries, our street lights, our communities are so dark right across Jamaica, and this has not been happening for many of our communities and our councillors. Our local government roads are in the worst condition I've ever seen them in, and I've been around as a politician and as a representative for the last 26 years of my life. And so, there has to be a change in the direction, and I believe that with the kind of focus that the PNP is planning to give to local government, we will see a better Jamaica offering better services for the people at the local level, Garvey noted. She also offered commendation to the party's councillors and Mayor of Kingston and St. Andrew Swaby, whom she has been making an effort to. I know that he has been putting in some new sanitary convenience across the corporate era. However, I know that he needs greater support, greater financial support. What we do get in revenue funds, there needs to be an addition to that to allow the budget of local government to adequately manage the systems which are going to be needing them to have the kind of facilities and infrastructure to have good markets, good roads, decent cemeteries, so our loved ones can be buried in dignity and so that we can have better, safer communities across Jamaica, Garvey concluded. Meanwhile, PNP caretaker for St. Andrew Eastern, Patricia Duncan Sutherland, outlined that one of the biggest challenges of the Papin era is congestion and inadequate parking spaces. Well, in the Papin era, the biggest thing is congestion and adequate parking and proper organization for our pedestrians. It's a very heavily traversed area, lots of pedestrians coming from Eastview and St. Andrew. We have Peter again here with us and coming from the Eastern St. Andrew area, coming into Papin as a hub, and in this hub we have a market. So the design of the market is also going to be very important. I know that our councillor, Darrington Ferguson, he has been making preparations. He and the mayor have been working with the university to look at the design, and it may have to happen in stages. The first stage is to look at the garbage collection so that we can get the market facilities clean. The second stage, I would think, and I'm going to lobby for is a completed redesign of the market to make it open so fewer people have a desire to be on the outside of the market, but the outside of the market will look like the inside of the market because it will be easily accessible by the customers, she noted. PM Holness says good economic management resulted in new budget reduction, provision of principal debt payment. Prime Minister Andrew Holness has emphasized that good management of the country's economy has resulted in a reduction in the provision for principal debt repayment in the new budget. On Thursday, Finance Minister Favour Williams tabled the estimates of expenditure for 2025-2026 fiscal year, which outline the government's plan to spend $1.3 trillion. Recurrent expenditure is set at $1.19 trillion, while capital expenditure is set at $62.5 billion. Speaking during the handing over of a house under the new social housing program in Colville, Manchester on Friday, Mr. Holness noted that the new budget has $154 billion less in debt repayment. The current fiscal year, which ends in March, has $317 billion for debt repayment. Mr. Holness added that the new fiscal year interest payment will be reduced by almost $4 billion. The new budget also has the reduced percentage for tax revenue collected and interest on debt paid. Trelawney Municipal Corporation restricts movement and parking of vehicles in Water Square, Falmouth. The Trelawney Municipal Corporation (TMC) has recently clamped down on vehicular traffic in the historic waterfront area in Falmouth, Trelawney, which has been pedestrianized since 2010. In recent years, motorcycles and motor cars have been making their way inside the Water Square, despite the area being designated as a pedestrian area only. Speaking at the recent regular monthly meeting of the TMC, Mayor of Falmouth said the municipal corporation has recently restricted parking and the movement of vehicular traffic in the area in which a historic water fountain is located. A statue of the icon sprinter Usain Bolt, a native of Trelawney, is to be mounted on the fountain shortly. I want to say to the residents, let us keep it as we walk through town. Let us keep it free so that people can walk about. So when Usain Bolt statue is mounted, we have that sort of order and tourists and locals will be able to come freely to walk and look, the mayor stated. We have erected chains to block bicycles and motorcycles from the area because sometimes we have tourists walking through and we don't want anything to happen. So we don't want any bike riding, Keja added. The mayor said business operators in Water Square have welcomed the restriction of the parking and movement of motor vehicles in the area. The store owners are congratulating us. People are thanking us and saying that this is how it should be, he noted. Remember to subscribe, like, share, and click the notification bell for daily updates.